Well, hello and welcome to Business Spotlight. Today I'm joined by Mike Perridge from Indrisec. Mike, a very warm welcome to Spotlight.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, Mike. So, Mike, why don't we kick off by you telling me a little bit more about yourself and about Indrisec and how long you've been in business for?
Yeah. So Indrisec is a company. We provide security and training. So the business is split into two sections really. We've got our training division and then our what we call our operational division. The operational division deals with all manners of security. So we've got close protection and surveillance sort of operations that we do, which is personal protection for business people, wealthy individuals. We tend to stay away from celebrity type stuff, just through the natural sort of selection, the natural course of events that we've taken. We've sort of stayed away from the celebrity stuff, and then on top of that, we've got some man guarding stuff that we do. So we provide security services to construction industry and office facilities and things like that. And then additionally to that, we've then got the training side of the business where we provide training for security personnel wanting to join the industry, refresher training for people already in the industry, and then we've got our first aid training as well, where we deliver first aid training to all manners of companies, charities we've worked with. We've got quite a big portfolio of clients that we've worked with now over the last few years. So that's kind of our main sort of remit, if you will, of the services that we provide.
Great.
We set a company in, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, how long have you been running Indrisec for?
Yeah, so set the company up in 2017 initially, and the reason the company got set up was I was working for a long-term client providing close protection services. We had a good team there, and because of the nature of the way that contract went, we were all self-employed freelance contractors working for this particular client. The way the contract went, it became more appropriate for us to set up a company and actually run it as a company. So that was how Indrisec was formed. It's myself. I'm the director, owner, and sort of chief instructor. I've got another two guys as well, Lee and Roy, who basically helped me sort of set the company up, and they're my main two guys that I use for most of our stuff. And then my wife as well joined the company last year, and she came over full time as well. So she does a lot of the administration and the sort of back end stuff. It's just the trading side of the business is quite paperwork heavy, so she deals with a lot of the bookings for courses and things like that.
I see.
Yeah, and we when we initially set up the company, so 2017, we set the company up. There's always a goal to have a training division. Our initial sort of push business-wise was just the operational side of things at that point. End of 2018, we started doing some first aid training, and then we really sort of made a push for it right at the end of 2019 and early 2020. And then the pandemic hit and shut everything down for us. So we went from I went from personally the busiest I've ever been in my life to sitting at home twiddling my thumbs for months on end. So it was a bit of a quite stressful time, that sort of period, the pandemic, as it was for a lot of businesses. So
and for you, Mike, what was the pandemic downtime in total? Like, when did it start to come back business for you?
So we'd only just invested money into our training side of things. So we put a lot of money into a company to push the training side of the business forward and market it for us. And that never happened, and they never made it through the pandemic. So that was kind of gone. And then at the same time as well, our close protection and personal security stuff and our surveillance stuff, that was all shut down overnight, because you can't do that sort of work if there's a lockdown. And a lot of our close protection clients that were coming in were from overseas, so they obviously just weren't coming into the country. So we had our sort of fallback. We had some manned guard and some sort of static security guard stuff at the time, and then there was a bit of an issue with the security industry. It kind of imploded on itself, and a lot of companies started undercutting and there was this big sort of fight for people to keep contracts, because everyone was cutting costs left, right, and centre. So yeah, it ended up the whole of 2020 was pretty sort of poor for us, and then from March on, end of March onwards it was. So, and then probably summer 21 was when we started to get momentum back a little bit, but it was still really slow because of the nature of, particularly on the training side of the business, it was really slow. People were still unsure about coming and sitting in a training room with 12 strangers, and that took a long time to build the momentum back up for that. And it's only really last year that the momentum started really picking back up with that. And then towards the end of last year, we've been flat out. So October onwards, we're almost back up to full speed again on that. So it's been a tough couple of years.
Yeah, so it's really only the last 6 months you're back to where you got the business pre-pandemic.
Yeah. It's been a long road. We're still we'll be suffering as a business for another couple of years yet. We'll still be not suffering, but we'll be feeling the effects of it for another couple of years. But yeah, we're almost back up to where we were before, so which is nice. So
yeah, no, totally. It's going to give you the chance to. We'll talk. Well, let's talk next then about the future. What are your plans, aspirations going forward, given that you are starting to see that recovery now? And yeah, what are the plans for the future, and perhaps some of the challenges that you see as well?
Yeah, so with our business, because we've got the two sort of factions of the business, with the training side of things, our sort of future plan, we've actually just finalised the plan moving forward with the training actually for the next year. Is we're firm believers in trying to raise the standards within the security industry. The security industry on a whole, with the training side of things, has suffered through poor training companies and poor regulation. So we're a company that focuses on trying to improve the standards, and we deliver what we like to think of as quite realistic training. We've got a lot of experience in our training team, so we deliver our training from a point of experience rather than just reading off a PowerPoint. And our main goal is for the training side of things, is to build on the established client base that we've got now and offer our training services to more and more security companies out there. We're quite well trusted by multiple companies in the area at the moment, and really we want to sort of spread that across the region, really. So we've got some clients over in Kent, right over to Portsmouth, and then we go as far up as Luton and in London as well. So it's just reinforcing those connections, and then making sure that we because the pandemic kind of reset us back to a brand new company, because all the market that we had, with obviously the cost, of no point in marketing a training course if no one can come and sit on a course. So we kind of got reset. We kind of lost years of development and brand awareness. So we're kind of reset back to that. So it's just getting that brand back out there again, and getting the clients aware, and the people that want to do the courses aware. We still have a few people that come on the courses and they only realised we were here. They've been looking for weeks to do a course, or months, and they spot us last minute. So it's just building on that really from the training side. And then the operational side, we've got so that's split into a couple of sort of divisions really. We've got technical side as well, which I didn't mention earlier, which is where we use CCTV and access control systems and things like that for companies. So that's all in its infancy at the moment. So the operational physical manpower side of things is our main bread and butter, and we're now pushing into the technical side of things as well, providing CCTV systems and stuff that can work with our personnel on the ground to create a more secure environment. So in terms of the challenges we've got, it's no one likes paying for security. So that's the biggest challenge the security industry faces. And it's always quite a hard sell, because there's no real there's no product at the end of it. If a client asks us to provide security for a week, and if we do our job correctly, there's no evidence that we've been there, because we'll prevent break-ins and nothing will happen on the site. which means there's then nothing to go back to the client and say, look, this is what we've done, because you know, obviously there is various things we prove our patrols, and we have logs and things like that shows that we're doing our job, but there's no sort of, you know, no thing at the end of it. So it's always a hard sell with the security side of things, because so people just don't like paying for security, because it's always seen as a bit of a loss maker, really, from a client perspective. So that's one of the biggest challenges we face.
Right. And you mentioned the kind of three distinct parts of the business. Is the opportunity to cross-sell them all? So you've got customers that buy all services from you?
Not really, because a lot of the the guys we train, they go and work for other companies who are essentially would be our competitors if we were in that area of the security industry. So
Right.
there's lots of local companies we work with who do door supervisor work. So they employ guys to work on, you know, your Weatherspoons and pubs and clubs and things like that. And that's not something we're interested in getting involved in personally, because essentially we'd then become a competitor, it'd create a conflict of interest. And to be quite honest, the companies in this area that we work with at the moment, they're very good at what they do. So, you know, there's no point in us trying to just add an extra company to, you know, take money out of the pot, so to speak. So there's not really the opportunity to some services we can provide combined stuff. So the technology stuff and the manpower, we'll always, if we deploy manpower to a site to secure it, whether it's a country, a state, or a construction site, we'll always look to put technology package in as well, so that we can support those guys. So whether it's thermal imaging or sort of motion sensors and that sort of thing, we'll always look to put that in and build a bigger package that creates a more secure product. But yeah, the two sides of the business are they're very sort of different in terms of the client bases that we've got.
Right. So accepting that they're different, how do you get then Indrisec to stand out? Or how do you differentiate? I mean, for example, you mentioned you don't do the celebrity work, which is quite intriguing, but you are working for businesses. So I guess that's part of your niche, isn't it? You've learned from the...
Yeah, we would do celebrity work. It just we've kind of steered away from it. It just not through intention. We've done a couple of celebrity things, some footballers and stuff like that, but it's just our natural course of action has led us more towards at-risk business people, high net worth individuals, ultra high net worth individuals, that sort of thing.
Right.
People we've worked for some political party members, people involved in politics and things like that. So we've naturally just kind of gone down that route, really. We would, you know, anyone that wants to employ our services, it doesn't really matter to us what they do for a living. There are different approaches, though, generally speaking. In terms of the training side of things, I say we just trying to push that forwards to get the brand out there and try and get more awareness about our things. Our sort of unique selling point with that is that we won't guarantee a pass on our training. So one of the things that a lot of companies that use us like is that we won't guarantee that pass. So if you come and do a training course with us, you have to meet the standard. We're not just going to tick you and pass you off, because that it creates multiple issues, but one of them is safety, because if you're not fit for purpose for your job and we just tick you to say that, yeah, you can go and do this, but you can't demonstrate that you can actually protect yourself, then it puts you at risk, it puts your team at risk and that sort of thing. So that's where we try and stand out with that side of things on the training side. Is, you know, we train from a realistic point of view. We've got experience between myself and the other two instructors. We've got just over 60 years experience now, purely in the security industry. And then I'm from a military background prior to that. One of our guys is from an emergency. He's got 28 years in the fire service. So we combine those to create a realistic training experience, or as realistic as we can in the realms of a training experience. And then on the operational side, one of the things we like to do is we're always keeping in touch with the clients and when we go to assess a security project, what we'll do is we'll give them multiple options. We're honest with them as well. There's a lot of companies that will just say, "Oh, we'll just do it how you want it." But whereas we like to go for, we'll look at crime statistics. We had a project nearby, near Reading, and we presented the client, for example, with a report on all the local crime data, showing that there's the amount of break-ins in that area and construction site thefts that happened. It just reinforces the need for the security that we're proposing. So we like to do that, take a more detailed. We take a more intelligence-led approach. So we'll use that intelligence stuff, and we'll constantly analyze that as well. And there's a tendency with some companies out there to, once you've got a security team in place, to just leave them and that's it. Whereas we'll every couple of months we'll have another quick look at the intelligence picture and see whether or not we need to make adjustments. And then we'll propose that to the client. So look, we've spotted this is starting to happen in the local area. Maybe we need to make an adjustment for this. It's not always agreed. Quite often it's met with a no, but at least they've got the information and they can make that decision based on that then. So that's how we like to sort of differentiate ourselves.
And is that why because you mentioned a particular geography you're in, does that dictate that geography then because of that local knowledge and keeping on top of that local intelligence? Is that part of that reason?
Not really. I mean, we've operated all over the sort of south of England, really.
Okay.
And getting the intelligence picture, it's just something you're able to do. So there's a lot of sources out there where you can analyze those crime statistics and various things. So I say for the close protection stuff, we would operate all over the UK for that. We've got guys who are on our books who are up and down the country. So that's something we can deploy anywhere really. That sort of service.
Yeah, and Mike, I know you're in North Camp, Farnborough. So is that connected to your military background as well? That being in that world?
Well, it's not. It's kind of not really. So my military background, I started off in the reserve forces. So part-time, it was called the TA back then. And I essentially, I was deployed out to Iraq in 2003. So I lived in the area with my parents at the time. And I joined the reserve forces, and then I was deployed to Iraq in end of 2003. I was out there in 2003 and 2004. And that's what got me into the security industry. Actually, whilst working over there, my unit was tasked with providing some security to some officers that were traveling the country, basically. So we were providing a bodyguarding service for them, but we'd had I think a couple of hours of guidance on how we didn't do the proper course to do it. It was just you guys can go do this sort of thing. And then that was us. We were off traveling the country and visit various areas. It was a great job. We got to see some great things. But whilst I was doing that job, I got chatting to some private contractors, some guys from the private security industry that were working out in Iraq. And I think I was probably earning about £50 a day at the time, doing the same job that they were doing at that particular point, and they were earning between £600 and £1,000 a day. So I thought I just wouldn't mind some of that. So I decided to move into the security industry basically, and I ended up deploying back to Iraq again in 2005, and then I did my training in the industry over in. I flew out of South Africa, so I trained over in South Africa. Got licensed, got trained, and then I had a period where I transferred over to a regular unit and deployed with those guys to Afghanistan. And then summer 2008, I was back in the UK, and I just started getting work offers through contacts that I had in the UK on the civilian side, the civilian security side of things, and that's kind of where my career sort of then pushed off. Then from 2008 onwards, I was full-time in the security industry, bouncing all over the country, working for various people, with a newborn baby at home and a very strict wife. That was it. So yeah, I was based locally. I was stationed over in Perridge when I was serving with those guys over there. So, but I was living here in the area already. It just happened to be that unit I went to, that's where they were based. So
Right, got it. So I guess you got lots of stories, not for today, but you've got lots of stories to share with all that experience of Iraq, Afghanistan, and everything that's been doing in the country. So, so Mike, just moving on to the kind of lesson sharing part of what we do with our Spotlight network. So, if you were to pick one lesson you've learned from being in business, you know, what would that be?
hard work. I think I have friends all the time that make comments about how lucky I am to have a business, or I'm lucky to do this and stuff, and it's not luck. I think, and I've got a good friend of mine, one of my best buddies. He owns a very successful construction company, and we're always joking that how irritating it is when people tell you how lucky you are, and he's doing way better than if my company could get to his level, that'd be great. But we're always sort of joking about how people think that there's a lot of luck involved. I'd say it's not. You've got to. There can be a little bit of luck being in the right place at the right time, but I think the main thing to take away is, if anyone that's looking to get into business and set up their own company, is be prepared to work every minute of every day, because if it's a business you care about, you'll never stop. You'll never be able to switch off from it. You'll always, I wake up sometimes at 2 a.m. For no particular reason. I'll grab a glass of water and try to get back to bed, but then suddenly my mind starts ticking over with, oh, I've got to do this tomorrow. We can plan for that, or I'll have an idea. And then I have a debate whether or not I should wake up and write it down. Well, I'm already awake. Should I just get up and have an early start? And so yeah, it's hard work. You've got to be willing to put the hours in. And if you put the hours in, if it doesn't work out, then at least you can say that you left nothing on the table. I think if you don't put the hours in, and then your business doesn't work, you'll never know if it was because you didn't work hard enough, or if it was because it was just poor. It was just some things don't work out, right?
Yeah, no, I could totally agree with that. I think the stats, 98% of businesses failing the first 5 years, and
yeah,
so it absolutely isn't luck, as you say. I agree with you.
It's hard work.
So a similar question, Mike, is if you could go back to meet yourself at 18, what's one piece of advice you would give 18-year-old Mike? I mean, if we don't focus on business, or it could be something more general about being in life, getting started.
I don't know really, because I think my life has taken so many sort of winding turns. I think one thing would be, again, just that hard work. When I was how old was I? Sort of 18, 19. I think I kind of wasted, like most people do. I wasted sort of 4 or 5 years of my life just out drinking with my buddies, and I had a job in an office for a company. I was probably the worst employee they'd had, because I didn't care about the job. I was there as, for me, it was a way to earn money to have a good time at the weekend. So I think for me, it would be, eventually you're going to have to start working hard. So just start straight away, get that hard work in. And I think if you've got I've got 3 children, and the oldest is 21, and we're trying to sort of have these conversations with her now, is you need to start putting sort of things in place, or at least start getting your mind in that mindset where you're going to be working hard for a long time. Take that, work hard at whatever it is you choose to do, build in breaks, so obviously you can't work hard forever. I think it'd be that, just put some effort in at the early on. It wasn't really until for me, when I was first deployed to Iraq, that was a massive eye opener for me in terms of my life and what I wanted to do. So I was 22, I think it was 22, I think at the time, or 21. And it was an eye opener, and it kind of made me sort of sit back and realize that there's more to life than just going out, getting hammered at the weekends and doing nothing else with your life. So that was my sort of first steps into, actually, I want to make a career of something. So yeah, be that just the hard work thing.
Yeah, no, it's nice. And so work hard and start working hard as early as you possibly can. Get discipline.
You've got to put the effort in.
Yeah, definitely. So my penultimate question is really what inspires you to keep doing what you do? Obviously in the security specialist field as well. What is that inspiration for you?
For me, I was bullied massively as a kid. So part of me, I love what I do. So I love the training side of things. When I'm teaching, I love passing that knowledge on to people. We have guys in on courses that are super quiet and don't have a lot of confidence, and by the end of the week, hopefully they go away with a bit of confidence. I really like that side of things and helping people. And the operational side, I just love I love the being on the ground. I love the operational stuff. I say to a lot of guys that come and train with us with the security industry, you're either suited to it or you're not. And if you're suited to it, you won't feel like you're working a day's. It will never feel like you've worked. It'll just be something that you do. If you're not suited to it, you'll have a miserable existence and find another career. But I've been standing in sleet in London in January for 7 hours, soaking wet, waiting for a particular thing to happen, and I've never, even then doing that, it never felt like a job. I was never annoyed that I was doing it. So I think for me, my motivation is just the enjoyment of what I do, and helping people, protecting people. It's nice where we had an arrest on a site we've got. We caught 2 guys that were trying to break in, and we got 2 arrests. Those arrests and the evidence we provided to the police led to the search warrants being obtained, and they recovered, I think it was £20,000 worth of tools. So it's those little wins, those sort of things that keep me motivated, because it's nice when you can go back to the client and say, look, this has happened, we've done this. And then again, on the training side of things, it's nice to have that thing at the end of a course where someone's like, thanks you for the time and the training, and you can see that you've helped build someone. You've helped sort of create something in them, a bit more confidence, or a bit of an ability to do something is always nice. They're the main 2 things that sort of motivate me to keep going.
And it sounds like a nice mix as well, that training, as you say, people, and seeing how they progress, and knowing you've actually provided security and changed situations for people and kept people safe.
Yeah, it is. It's and funnily enough, we've got at the moment, I think 6 of the people we've got employed are former students as well. So they're guys that have come and trained with us, and they've ended up working for us as well. So it is nice to have. We had a course recently, and a couple of guys on it were really quiet and shy, and by the end of the week we sort of got them out of their shell, and they absolutely smashed the course. They nailed the course. And we have to make judgments on people when we're training them, because we've got to try and predict where they're going to be toward, if it's a week-long course, how am I going to have to adjust this towards the end of the week when we start getting towards assessment? How am I going to have to tailor it? So, because everybody learns in a different way, right? So how am I going to have to tailor the sort of practical elements to this particular individual? And sometimes these particular guys I was talking about just now, I thought I'd have to go one way with the physical sort of self-defense type training, what we call the physical intervention stuff. But by the time it got to that, I didn't have to make any adjustments at all. They just picked it up. And it's always it's a nice surprise when you have that. see the confidence, and they obviously enjoy it at that point because they've managed to nail it and perform better than required. So yeah, it's nice. It's a nice thing to have to do to people.
Yeah, great. So my last question really is, or opportunity really, to share with our Spotlight network any news upcoming about Indrisec.
Yeah, so we've funnily enough, today we've actually got a stand in our local shopping centre. So in Farnborough, we've got guys, we've got Tan and one of our instructors are in there sort of advertising our first aid training. So the first aid training is one of the things we're putting a lot more effort into. We like to do what's called pressure testing with our first aid training, and what we do there is we'll create a final scenario at the end of a training day or a training course, or multiple scenarios where we actually pressure test the students. We put them under a bit of pressure. So, sometimes we'll turn the lights off. So for the door supervisor training, for example, we'll turn some lights off sometimes, and we'll have a disco light going, some loud music, so that we can test the guys in a stressful environment where it's difficult. So, and like I said, we teach from a point of experience. So our first aid thing is what we're trying to push at the moment is the first aid training. We do the 1 day first aid for businesses, emergency first aiders. We do the 3 day first aid training, which is your normal first aid at workforce. And then we've just launched our 4 day first responders course, which is it's more of an advanced an advanced first aider style course. It's that's tagged in with our close protection training that we provide, but it's also an open seat course, so anyone can come and attend it. We've got a few guys that are looking to do that, and that focuses on a lot of advanced first aid stuff, so oxygen therapy and medical gases and things like that, and some more advanced first aid stuff. And then, yeah, if anyone needs any security, what we do is from the operational side as well is we'll offer consultations. We'll go and speak to businesses if they require security or they want an assessment done. We can go and do an assessment and give them some advice. Whether they use us or not, it's not an issue. We're always happy to help people with their security needs. So really that we've got sort of going on at the moment. We've got a big course coming up in a couple of weeks, which is our close protection course. So that's a 21-day straight through course. That's for people looking to move into the close protection industry. So that'll keep us busy.
Right. Oh, well, we'll make sure we promote those then as part of getting this out to our Spotlight network. So I guess with that then, Mike, that kind of wraps us up for today. Thanks so much for joining. It's been fascinating learning about yourself and about what you do as well, and the different aspects of it. So really enjoyed meeting you, and thanks. I'll let you get on with your day.
Thanks for having me.